friends, welcome to Mindfulness Fridays. Today we're going to be making our own stress balls. So we're going to be going over 3 different ways of doing these stress balls, and the description also goes over the different ways that you can make your stress ball, if you want it super hard, if you want different things in it too so you can feel it, and then also how we're going to use these too to help ground us and really focus on our breath and also our different muscles too. So let's move on to what we're gonna need for creating these stress balls. For these, we're gonna go over 3 different ways. So the different things that I'm filling my stress balls with are Play-Doh. So I'm using the Play-Doh that I made on Wednesday for Whatever Wednesdays. So the Play-Doh, I find that this is a really fun one because it helps you just manipulate it a little bit more in your stress ball. You can make it into different shapes and stuff like that. We're also going to be adding cornstarch to one of our stress balls. This is a harder substance. People either use flour or cornstarch or baking soda often for stress balls, or a combination of them too can be fun. And our third stress ball that we're gonna be making is a combination of flour, and I added some lentils to this. Maybe you add something different with the flour or the cornstarch, such as rice or coffee beans, or just something that you can kind of feel in the middle of all of the flour as well. So let's get started. For our stress balls, I'm just using balloons that I have around. I find that these are really good and durable. It's also something that I have at my home. For adding it, sometimes it's tricky getting things inside, so I'm going to be using this guy. If you don't have this, maybe you cut off a bit of the neck of the balloon, but I think that this is really handy for getting the different things inside of them for the stress ball. Then I also just have scissors and a marker if I want to color on them too. For our first one, if you have a parent around, I think it would be really awesome to get their help with the Play-Doh one, because sometimes it can be tricky to stretch out that neck of the balloon. For our Play-Doh, we're going to be taking some of it and rolling it. You can use a flat surface for rolling it, just rolling it into a long snake. This just helps for adding it into the balloon. So I'm just rolling it out, and when I feel like it's pretty thin, then I can take my balloon, and with my fingers or my thumbs, I'm stretching out the neck and I'm rolling part of it down too. Rolling it so that it's closer to the big part of the balloon. This is why I think it would be handy if you have a parent around to get them to help you. So I'm just adding it in. If you're doing it by yourself, you can use 2 of your fingers and then your thumbs to add it, but kind of tricky to coordinate it. And you're just going to be filling the balloon with as much Play-Doh as you can without getting it into the neck part of it. So for the Play-Doh one, you want it kind of firmed up. You can see that it's starting to form. Sometimes it also helps with adding it to the balloons. Just gonna add a bit more. If you blow the balloons beforehand, just makes them a little bit easier to manipulate after. All right, so I've stuffed some Play-Doh in. I'm just using my thumb to stuff it in. And then you can unroll that neck and then tie it up, or get someone else at home too. So we're taking out some of the air in it. That'll help the Play-Doh as well last for a little bit longer without drying out. Making a knot, and I don't really need this extra bit, so I'm gonna cut it off. Okay, if you do have a bit of air in it, you can see you can make a bubble, which is sometimes fun. But you can also just like push it in, and that's one stress ball done. For our second one, let's do the cornstarch. So for this one instead, I'm just gonna put this around, fit it into the neck, and that's really gonna help so that I don't make a huge mess all around. Sometimes I'm just gonna tap it, tap, 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 so that it starts to go down into the balloon. All right, and I'm gonna add a bit more. I find that cornstarch sometimes it's a different texture than flour, and you can even tell even when it's inside a balloon. It's more of a crunch to it. All right, just about done. And when that's all added, we can remove this. Once again, taking out some of the air, so I'm just holding it at the top with one hand and squeezing down here at the other end of the neck, taking out that air. Now I feel like I can tie a knot. Whoops. And you can kind of hear it even. I'm gonna take off that neck. Can you hear that? And that's the cornstarch one. Can be a little bit messy. Maybe you want to put something down on your table or just be in a space where it's okay to get a little bit messy. And we'll wash our hands after. For a third one, so our textured one, I'm going to be putting this in once again. Slowly starting to add in my lentils and rice. So what I like to do with this one is I like to squeeze it and focus on the different textures inside of it. I find that then maybe if I'm having a lot of thoughts in my head, then I don't necessarily have to think about all of those thoughts. I can just focus on this and what it feels like, and just focus on squeezing it and the muscles involved in it. When you find that it's all filled up to the neck, then you can take this out. And once again, we're going to tie a knot in the neck. And you can even see the textures coming out. So those lentils and coffee beans could also be really cool. You just start to see different textures in this one. One thing that I really like to do with stress balls is I like to draw faces on them. Sometimes it's easier to do this before or after. It's really up to you. I like doing faces. You can do a sad face, you can do a happy face, you can do an animal if you want, whatever you want to do. I find it useful to use a permanent marker on this because sometimes with latex it can be tricky to get something to stay. I like doing faces because it's kind of funny when you squeeze it too. Cutting this. So, why I like stress balls is I find that then you can focus on one thing in your body. So that one muscle in your hand, and you can just focus on your breathing in and out. And maybe you squeeze it at the same time that you're breathing. And you can just really put all of your energy into squeezing that super hard and using your muscles, and then just letting it go too and relaxing. I find that this is grounding too. It makes me focus on something that's happening right now, and not thinking about other things necessarily and what's going on, but just on what I'm doing. And this is something I can control. So give it a try at home. Let me know. Let me know if you use different things as well for your stress balls. I think there are a lot of different things that you can use. And I'd love to see them too and what yours look like. Do they have different colors on them? Are there different lumps and bumps coming out of them? Different pictures? Let me know. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.